Hi, my name is Amy Mazzi and I'm with Centurion Boats, and I'm coming to you from just in front of the Centurion Fi25. This new 2024 is a boat you need in your slip. Let's find out why. One of the first differences you'll notice about an FI series boat from Centurion is the bow. Now, it's a sleek, kind of aggressively styled bow, but it's extremely wide, which makes it ultra accommodating on the interior and beautiful to look at. But it also has optional docking lights up front. These docking lights are no joke. They are 4,800 lumens a side. So you have nearly 10,000 lumens of light that can illuminate the dock for you. Imagine that. So the 2024 Fi25 has an optional windshield. What? Yes, the new Centurion vented windshield with colorable A-pillars is available as an option on the FI series. Now, why would you want this? Case in point, it looks super cool and it's vented. So what that means is on a hot day on the lake, you can open up the hatch that's on the interior of the windshield and allow air to flow through. Keeps you cooler. And if you're on the lake on a cool day, you can close that hatch and keep yourself warmer. But the look of it is what we want to focus on here. You have the option to color the A-pillar, or this corner of the windshield on either side. There are 18 different color choices for this windshield. You can make it almost anything you want it to be. And the FI series in general allows for a lot of exterior color options. Case in point, gator step, now windshield A-pillar. I mean, the list goes on. You can also color the vents, which we'll show you in just a minute. But another really cool option, more functional than stylish, the new bumper cleats. This is an option for 2024. I can get 4 bumper cleats with a branded tie as well as a good size 22.5-inch bumper. And this is gonna protect my boat from any kind of dock rash. And when I'm done with it, I pop them out. And there's a specific storage center in the interior underneath the lounge seating where I can pop these in, keep them organized, and they're always quick and easy to access. So as we move our way back down the side of the Fi25, we start to see some of those other colorable accents. Here's one here. You can actually color the vents, be it the ram fill vent or the fresh air vents or the vents with the model designators, the same color as that A-pillar color choice we looked at earlier. There's 18 different colors. And if you choose to go with a Bombshell 2.0 rack, you can color that the same. So everything can match and be just as custom as you need it to be. Now, I know the ram fill vent is beautiful, but we all know that's not what ram fill's about. The Fi25 has as much as 5,600 pounds of ballast available. Half of that, or actually more than half, is available as a part of ram fill, which means it fills in 90 seconds. Yes, 90 seconds. So you're not waiting for 10 minutes while all of that ballast fills up. You're underway, you're already surfing as ram fill is still filling. Yes, you heard it here, ram fill. It's not just a pretty face. So we're going to keep the pretty talk going as we move down the profile of the Fi25. This boat just gets prettier and prettier. One of the reasons is the gel coat scheme that we chose for this particular boat is called the Core scheme. And it is amazing because I can throw a lot of color on the side of the boat. This color is olive pewter metal flake, and together with the white, looks clean and classic, beautiful in my opinion. You have another choice of a scheme called the Slice scheme, which can introduce a second color of metal flake as well, so you can go crazy with that. We have 37 different gel coat colors that can go in 3 different spots on an Fi25. Go crazy. Well, we've talked a lot about the options available for 2024 and how customizable the Fi25 is as far as the look and style goes. What about performance, after all? That's what these boats are about. We are wake surf boats from the get-go. That's what we do. How we do that is because of our running surface. Really, that's where it all starts. The running surface of this boat is a deep V. a modified deep V. We call it an optimized deep V or an OptiV. And what that is balance built into the hull. So the V bottom is great for displacing more water with less ballast weight. It's great for a rough water ride, but without an balance built into it, it tends to get a little tippy from side to side, especially when there's weight shift. And what that means behind the boat is maybe an asymmetrical wakeboard wake or a wake surf wave that's a little harder to achieve. Not so. With the Fi25's OptiV, you've got balance. So I can kick up a wake surf wave in seconds. I have a perfectly symmetrical wakeboard wake, and I never lose that smooth, rough water ride that the Deep V offers. This boat, make no mistake, is all about performance. So as we move to the back of the Fi25, you start to notice there's a lot going on under this swim step. You've got the optional quick surf tabs on either corner. I have the silent stinger, which is an option as well. And you've got optional underwater lights. You've got optional ladders. It runs the gamut. You've got everything available, and it all happens to come together right at the back of the boat. Why is that? Well, a lot of us would rather be behind this boat than in it. Why? Because it performs so well. For instance, with quick surf, once we've displaced the hull with the 5,600 pounds of available ballast, that's displacing the water that then the quick surf tabs can ultimately form into a wave. How does that happen? It's easy. One side of the boat, opposite the surf side, the plate goes down. It creates lift. The surf side of the boat actually digs in or displaces more water on the surf side, which is what makes that curl. When you want to switch that to the other side, from regular to goofy or goofy back to regular, it's a 2-second transfer. That's how fast it is. It's all about that performance. Now, let's think about that silent stinger wake plate. Now, that wake plate is an option on the Fi25, and it does two main things. First, it's a wake plate, or essentially a trim tab, which changes the running attitude of the boat. When the tab is down, it actually makes the bow of the boat go down, or that most aggressive part of the V at the keel of the boat, down into the water, cutting through the chop on a really rough day. But when you want to ride, you're surfing or you're wakeboarding, you're probably going to bring that stinger plate up. That allows the back of the boat to go down further into the water, displacing more water and normally making a bigger wave or wake. That particular function is normal when it comes to a trim tab. Where the silent stinger really stands out is in that word silent. It is built with a baffle system in the plate, and it takes in the exhaust from the engine as well as forced water through the bottom of the plate when the boat is underway. They tumble together through the series of baffles, and they dampen the engine noise. So much so that when you're in the boat, you can have a normal conversation with somebody sitting next to you or somebody all the way on the other side of the boat. It's that quiet. So much so, sometimes you really have to listen hard to understand if the engine's on or not. So as I step up on to the swim step of the Fi25, you start to realize how big this boat is. But really, I'm not that high up here. I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle for me to get on the swim step, but that's only because we're not in the water. And, I'm never graceful getting up on the swim step anyway. But once you get up here, I mean, it's beautiful, but super accommodating too. Like this trunk that I can open up very easily, put my shoes in so they never make it on the inside of the boat, some cushy seats to sit in, cup holders to access, an optional stereo remote. I've got all kinds of comfort built in up here. So this is as much a hangout center as it is a place to get ready to ride. I've even got lean backs that are optional on the Fi series that allow me for some extra lounging time. There's a specific path for me to walk when entering the Fi25, and I have a place to step down that doesn't involve me stepping on my cushion, which is great for longevity of this interior. However, this interior is pretty strong as it is. In fact, the name of the vinyl, Comfort Strong, at least that's what we call it, it's made by a company called Spradling, and it has a 17 mil top coat. And it is one of the items in our boat that we hardly ever have warranty claims on. Why? Because it's so strong. It's held together by stitching called Gore-Tenera thread. And this stitching is made by Gore-Tex. And it's also extremely strong. Also, the way that we apply the stitching, the way that we sew the interior together is very special. So we will hardly ever join two pieces of vinyl with just one single stitch. That would be faster for us, it would save us material, but we don't do that because that doesn't last a long time. So instead, we use what's called a half stitch, which is actually sewn twice, or a French seam, which is sewn 3 times in high stress areas. We do that so that the interior is as resilient as it can possibly be. We also build in things like this step down so that we take some of that pressure and stress off the interior as well. It is a beautiful interior, and you know that as soon as you step into this boat, but it's also amazingly strong. So we've talked a lot about how customizable a Centurion Fi25 is, and there is no exception when we're talking about the flooring. You have 5 different flooring schemes you can choose from with the Fi25. You have a 2-layer fearless cut, a 3-layer fearless cut, a salute to service design, as well as a warrior. And this is the warrior. The warrior is a design all its own, and it's got 3 layers to it, and I can color them, each layer, separately. There's 15 different color choices on each layer. So in this case, the bottom layer is black, the middle layer is sandstone, the top layer is whiskey barrel. And this is actually, you know what, I may have that wrong. I may have that top color wrong. We've got so many colors, I lose track, to tell you the truth. But the point is, you can make this any way you want as far as the look goes. You can make it match the vinyl. You can make it match the gel coat. You can make it completely different if you want to. That's the point, is you can customize this how you want, when you want. And the other thing that's cool that you'll notice when you're looking at the floor is lighting. So we have optional limo lighting here. And in the Fi25, the limo lighting option is attached to the slide seat. So when you choose to get a slide seat on this interior, it comes with limo lighting. So you can illuminate all of the gloriousness that is this gator step scheme. So other than the seating, the flooring, we also have great accommodation on this interior. And what I mean by that is you got tons of cup holders. And there's cup holders built into the side panel here. You've got a Centurion badge as well. And of course, the pièce de résistance, the speakers. These 8-inch wet sound speakers, they are amazing as far as sound quality. They also look pretty cool. And this year, as a part of this upgraded stereo package, which happens to be the Hero package by Wet Sounds, this has light rings. So these light rings, when you choose the RGBW controller option, will be able to light any color. But if you don't choose RGBW, they will white light. They will light up white. Say that 3 times fast. But that's what you see here, is something where maybe you didn't choose that spectrum of color in the option of a controller, but you've still got lots of cool lights. So when we talk about versatility in an Fi25 interior, we're talking about a few things. We're talking about versatility of seating. Seating that can work with you however you want to use the boat today on the water. We have rear-facing stadium seats that are available that can be flipped up, and you can face backwards and watch the rider in tow. And then when you're not pulling somebody or you're going back to the dock, you can flip them down, face forwards. You also have this 4-position slide seat that is available as an option, where you can position this seat any one of those locations. There are 3 more other than the one it's in now, and you can position lean backs either forward facing or rear facing in those receptacles in 4 different positions on that particular seat, as well as a table fits into that as well. So it allows this interior to really be built to work how you need it on any given day. The other piece of that is, you've accommodated places for people to sit exactly where they want to be and how they want to view the rider in tow or how they want to ride in the boat. But what about all their stuff? Well, we got that covered too, because under every seat you have storage. And the storage is pretty cavernous, pretty big. In fact, you also have a standard soft-sided AO cooler that you get with this new carbon finish branded Centurion, and it's made to fit in any of these storage areas. You load some ice and sodas in here in the house and bring it in with you and just tuck it away. Everything has its place, and you don't have to be tripping over it, but you have easy access to it when you need it. The standard tower on a 2024 Centurion Fi25 is the Battle Advanced Tower made by Roswell. This tower is available in white or black, and it comes with 37 different choices for the tower accent. This one, olive pewter metal flake. You can also add, optionally, a second accent to the tower if you'd like. It will appear on the outside only. This tower is beautiful. And honestly, it was designed to go along with the lines of the Fi series. You can see that just sitting here. It's a beautiful tower, but also extremely strong. So the way that this tower is built is with a patented cam latch mechanism. What it does is it pulls the hoop of the tower down onto the base and makes this tower extremely strong. No rattles on a rough day on the lake. No swaying side to side that you see in the rearview mirror when you're towing this down the road. It is a very robust, sturdy tower. And that makes a big difference when you're out on the water all day long and you're not being irritated by a rattle that just won't let go. Here we've got major options available on this tower as well. So right now you can see the Hero sound system by Wet Sounds. This particular system is one of the upgraded stereo options and obviously has its place on the Battle Advanced Tower. These 10-inch horns are big, let's face it, they're big speakers. They produce big sound, and they filter it all the way back to the rider in tow. They also come this year with light rings. So whether you choose that RGBW controller or not, you're gonna have speakers that are literally lit. Imagine that. You've also got the option of board racks. This particular board rack is a Bombshell 2.0 rack. This rack is a swivel rack, as you can see. What that means is I can load a board into it from the inside of the boat. I don't have to hang over the side, torque my back to get one of those big boards in this rack. I can put it in and then swivel it right back out. Now, that mechanism works really well. It's really easy. The important part of that is those boards, how big they can be. They can be as wide as 23 inches, and they fit in that rack, and they fit in there securely, and they don't dent or crack. They ride nicely, even on a rough day on the water, and they are up out of the way. We have reached the driver's seat. Yes, it is one of my favorite seats. I know. I say it about every place I sit in the boat, especially in the Fi25. But really, the driver's seat is pretty cool. This one is a Cobra Racing driver's seat. This is an optional driver's seat in the Fi25. It's an option you should seriously consider because the back is high and extremely supportive. It also swivels, but sometimes when I'm being a little lazy and I don't like to swivel and I just want to kick a leg over the side and, hey, what's going on back there? Are you guys ready? Is it time to go? That kind of conversation. I'll just throw my leg over and omit the swivel altogether. But this seat allows you to do that. It is definitely a comfortable driver's seat. And where you find that out the most is when you're facing the dash. You have so much control in this boat. This is the Pano dash in the Fi series. And we call it Pano because literally it's panoramic. I can see so much and I can control so much on this boat. This is one of those situations where I never have to take my hands off the wheel. I can control my trim tab in the back, which is my silent stinger on this particular boat, and I can move it up just by pulling one of my sport shifters towards me. I can move it down by pulling the lower part of my sport shifter towards me. I never have to take my eyes off the water to control that trim tab. On my right-hand side, I can control my speed, especially if 0 off is set and we've throttled up, we're underway, but let's say I want to change my speed, I want to slow down a bit. I don't have to go back to my throttle because my speed control is on. All I have to do is bring my lower part of the right-hand sport shifter towards me with a couple fingers, decrement my speed, I'm slowing down. I never had to take my eyes off the water. That's one of my favorite things about this particular boat, is the fact that I can see everything. Part of that is because of the way this steering wheel is shaped. This steering wheel is American made. It's made by Grant, and it looks a lot like a Corvette steering wheel. But there's a practical reason for its design. It's so that the hoop of the wheel doesn't obstruct my view of these pano screens. That's a big problem, especially depending on how tall you are and how you sit in the seat. You want to make sure you've got a visibility not only of the water in front of you, but of the screens as well. This steering wheel allows you to see that, and it looks pretty cool too. We've got all the control we need up here. I've even got an optional driver's side stereo remote with a volume knob. I am the ruler of this domain. So one of the options for 2024, actually we started it in 2023, is the Rove, which is a range of view system. In the Fi25 or the Fi23, it's going to be on the left-hand screen. What this shows you is a range of views of the boat, both understanding how much fuel your boat is using when you're on a specific trip or how much you've used today. It can also allow you to calculate how many gallons you're burning per hour. This is an unheard of piece of information to share in a boat because most boats are not known for their fuel efficiency. However, Centurion, as we all know, is a bit different. So we have almost 50% more efficiency when it comes to fuel usage in all Centurion boats. The Fi25 is no exception. So we'd like you to be aware of just how much fuel your boat is not using. And this is a really good way to see it. So if I'm on my trip setting, I can just see my trip. But remember, we talked about this system, this Rove, being a range of views. So it also has a front and rear camera. Now, we're in a studio right now, so you've got a backdrop in our bow camera, and you've got another boat in our transom camera, but this gives you an idea. I can see both in front of me and behind me at the same time, hence the name range of view. Now, if I want to see both my fuel and trip data overlaid on those camera images, I can do that too. This system is an option in the FIs, but it is such a great feature to have. So if you need an ice chest and you are in the Fi25, you are in the right spot. There is a big ice chest built into the floor of this boat. Check that out. You can put drinks and ice directly in it. It drains into the bilge and it keeps your drinks cold. However, if you'd rather use it for dry storage, that's fine too. It'll actually stay dry unless you put something wet in it. But it's a great way to store whatever you need to and not have to ask somebody to get up out of a seat to access it. And the driver has pretty quick access right here. New for 2024, the Centurion Fi25 has a trash chute in the walkthrough. Yes, you heard me right, and I am excited. This is a really cool thing. I can throw my trash away here, and it actually ends up going to a trash receptacle here that I can easily remove and dump. But for a mom, that is one of my favorite features of the boat because I can make sure everybody throws their trash away. Nobody has to see it until I take it out and dump it. There are a ton of new standard features for 2024 model year, especially in the FIs. A lot of them are in the glove box. Ready? Let's check it out. So we have a new standard stereo system, and this stereo system is a wet sound stereo. And you'll notice that there's just the face of the stereos because it's a black box system. It's called the Backbone Ecosystem from Wet Sounds, and it gives you access to the stereo from the glove box. You can Bluetooth your phone to it. You also have an optional driver's side remote and an optional transom remote to communicate with this stereo. The other really cool new standard feature is the Battery Management Center. This particular feature you might not think is that big a deal, but let me tell you what this is. So in years past, in order to transfer the battery, go from one battery to two batteries or from number one to number two, you used to have to get into the OB, switch that big round red switch that was down there. no more. And if you had too much stored in the observer area, you couldn't get to it easily, and you were normally half of you is hanging out while the other half of you is digging through the stuff to get to it. You've got a management center right here, easily accessible in your glove box, and it's really easy to use. So you have 2 different batteries in this boat standard, and one is used for the house, meaning the interior, the lights, the stereo, those types of items. The other is used for the engine. It is the cranking battery. It's the battery that helps you start and run the engine. So when we're tied up in a cove or just hanging out floating on the water, we want to run off the house battery. And if we happen to be out there a long time and listening to tunes for hours on end, we want to make sure that we don't affect the power levels of that engine battery. So we make sure that the house battery is on, but the engine battery is off. By doing that, we preserve that engine battery, so when we are ready to head back to the dock, we can turn it on, start that engine, head home. It's really easy to use and easily accessible. The other piece of this you'll see almost looks like a breaker box or a fuse box, and these are your PDMs. So traditionally, the PDMs are located throughout the boat, and sometimes they were a little hard to find. The reason you would need to access a PDM or to flip the breaker on the PDM is normally because of a service issue. So if you're troubleshooting, and let's say you're on the phone with a service tech, they might ask you, hey, can you flip the breaker on your PDM? Then the next part of the conversation is going to be 5 minutes trying to tell you where that PDM is, and it could be here, it could be there. Now you have access to all 4 of them right here in the glove box. So you can troubleshoot those service items much, much more easily. You also have some power points in the glove box, and you have a USB-C power point as well as a regular USB power point. You also have some inputs for the stereo itself, where you can plug in a USB device with music on it if you'd like, or a headphone jack. Either way, there's a lot of functionality in this dash. This also has an optional lay flat charger in it, so I can lay my phone down, charge away. All of those features, all wrapped up in the glove box. Who'd have thunk it? Okay, we've reached almost the end of our journey. We're finally to the bow of this boat. I know there's been a lot to talk about, but now this walk-through open bow, is gonna be the last landing spot for me, just because it's super comfortable. I have this optional center filler cushion that makes this bow a playpen the way it is now, or I can take the cushion out, make it a little lounge. I can have someone else in the bow with me, and we're not in each other's face, yet we have access to our own cup holders, our own power points, lights, speakers, a grab handle if the driver gets crazy, anything and everything we need. And because this is a modified Deep V, an Opta-V hull, it's a really smooth ride up in the bow. In a lot of cases in water sports boats or tow boats especially, that rough water ride isn't that great, and you don't want to be in the bow. That's not the case in a Centurion, and specifically in Fi25, because this bow is huge, hugely comfortable, hugely accommodating, looks great. It's my new favorite. I hope you liked the walkthrough that we just went through on the all-new 2024 Centurion Fi25. This is an amazing boat, and one that definitely deserves a look from you. But don't just take my word for it. Visit your local Centurion dealer and let us prove it to you.